was crouched on the side of the road doing fortune readings when the wealthiest family in the city tracked me down. They clearly hadn't expected me to be a street fortune teller, and just stood there staring. Then Zhuang Qingqing let out a scoff, eyes full of disdain. I glanced at her and said, "No results, no charge. Want me to do a reading?" And at that, the mother couldn't hold back her tears. "Baby, I'm your mom. Please come home with us." I looked at the people standing in front of me, and a few words formed in my mind. Dark energy, death is near. I let out a long breath when it nodded. I tucked away my compass and the yellow ritual paper. I need to go back and grab a few things first. It's a mess in there. Wait outside. The mother insisted on coming with me, so the rest of them followed too. All four of them trailed me into the grimy back alley, a rat darting past here and there. I heard gagging behind me. People actually live here. Yeah, they do. I've lived here for over 10 years. Zhuang Qingqing's face went through several expressions. I didn't acknowledge him, just kept walking. Until I reached a small door, I pushed it open. The inside was bare, a single table, an old electric fan. I pulled my clothes out of the cabinet and started packing. Qingqing covered her nose in disgust. "Why are you taking these old rags?" "We'll get you new ones once you're home." I was about to respond, when a crowd of neighbors suddenly poured into the room and surrounded the Zhuang family. "You better treat Baifan right. This kid has been through a lot. You all clearly have money, so why did it take you this many years to find Baifani? I heard there's already an adopted son in the house. No telling how he'll treat Baifan. These neighbors and my mentor were the ones who raised me, and now I was leaving. They were happy for me, but you could feel the heaviness underneath. Aunt Wang started stuffing things into my arms. We all chipped in and got you some new clothes. Leave the old ones behind. You're going somewhere new. You need new things." In no time, my arms were full of bags. The uncles and aunties helped haul everything to the car. I climbed into the back seat, clutching my little yellow bag. "You're not seriously bringing all that stuff, are you?" "We don't have room for any of that." The mother gave him a firm smack. "Is that any way to talk to your brother?" I looked up at them. "Then I won't come." Zhuang Qingqing blinked. He clearly hadn't expected me to say that. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Then the sister, Zhuang Qingye, spoke up and told Qingqing to apologize. He did it reluctantly with a flat sorry. The mother started asking how I had been all these years, saying I must have had it so hard out there. The words biological parents felt completely foreign to me, because I never even had foster parents. When traffickers nearly broke my arm, my mentor was the one who shoved them aside and pulled me out of there. I looked at the boy sitting there sniffling. "Is he also a Zhuang family kid? You just got here. And you're already trying to push Sunzi out, even if you move back in." "We're not sending Sunzi away. Sunzi has been with us for so long. There are real feelings there. We'll treat you like family the same way. We just hope you won't come after Sunzi. I'm sorry, brother. I don't fully understand how all of this happened. If you don't want to see me, I can find somewhere else to stay." I looked at each of their faces one by one. I don't think I said anything. I just asked if he was a Zhuang family kid. They realized they had overreacted, and the mother quickly stepped in to smooth things over. "Sunzi is the baby who was switched with you at the hospital. Bifan, from now on you're the older brother, and Sunzi is your little brother." I nodded and let it go. The constant sniffling was getting on my nerves, so I leaned back and closed my eyes. The car bumped along for a while before we pulled up to the Zhuang estate, and when we got out, nobody helped with my bags. They all walked inside and only then realized they had left me behind. The mother ran back out. We locked eyes and then I walked straight past her and headed in. Seeing me come in on my own, the staff looked visibly uncomfortable. Zhuang Qingye snapped at the housekeepers. "The young master just got home. Why isn't anyone helping him with his bags?" I stood there watching her pass the blame. "It's fine. I can manage on my own." "Bifan, your room isn't ready yet. You'll have to make do with the first floor for now." "Do all three of them have rooms upstairs? You just walked in the door and you're already eyeing the second floor." Zhuang Sunzi quickly jumped in. "Brother, Qingqing didn't mean it. If you want, I can give you my room upstairs." "No thanks. I'd rather not sleep somewhere you've been. Bad energy." I didn't wait for their reaction and headed to my room. Later that evening, the housekeeper called me out for dinner. They were already seated at the table and had deliberately left the spot next to Zhuang Sunzi open for me. Zhuang Sunzi called out respectfully, "Brother." And I just looked at him. This was the kid whose mother had switched us. If it weren't for my mentor, I would have died, carrying all of that with me. There was no way I could manage a smile at him. Sunzi stared awkwardly at his bowl and his eyes quietly went red. Zhuang Qingye looked at me. "Ifan, Sunzi is talking to you." I heard him. I just don't feel like responding. "And your manners? Is this how your mentor and those people raised you? Fine, go ahead and judge me. But you're asking about my manners while seating me at the same table as the person who stole my life." Zhuang Sunzi heard those words, and a tear dropped straight into his rice. Zhuang Qingqing saw his brother cry, and couldn't hold back. "What is your problem? Sunzi knew you were coming home. He even bought you gifts. It wasn't you who got swapped at birth, and it wasn't you who got left in a trash can, so of course you have no idea what it feels like to be out in the dead of winter in nothing but a thin shirt." I was out on the streets, and there were people who wanted to break my arm, so they could force me to beg as a cripple. I rolled up my sleeve, a few visible scars running along my arm. The reason I dropped the spoon into my bowl just now was because of this arm. Zhuang Qingye's expression shifted slightly, but an apology never came. The mother was shaken. She hadn't imagined things had been this bad for me. The father was also struggling to hold himself together. "Ifan, let Qingye take you in for a checkup tomorrow." "No need. My mentor already had someone look at this arm. It moves, but that's about it. So I'm sorry, sister. When I was little, all I cared about was finding food and staying alive. Nobody taught me manners. People only taught me how to survive, and maybe I'm just not fit to be here. You all keep eating. I've had enough, sister. I was wrong to say that. What if I said this house isn't big enough for both of us? Zhuang Qingqing clearly wanted to fire back, but then thought of the scars on my arm, and forced himself to stay quiet. The mother went silent too. The father spoke firmly. This is still the son we raised for over 10 years. If we find our biological son, and then just send the adopted one away, what will people say about the Zhuang family? And what if you had to pick just one? I turned and walked away without another word. The next morning I woke up starving. My first day here, and I still couldn't get a proper meal. I pulled on the new shirt Aunt Wang had bought me, a little cat printed on the front. When I stepped out, the whole family was already up. Zhuang Qingqing's eyes landed on my shirt, and didn't leave. She was trying to hold back a laugh. What are you wearing? It's new, no patches. Nobody's worn it before, so what? Zhuang Qingqing stopped laughing immediately, thinking about what I had been through. She quietly picked up her phone. After breakfast, the mother handed me $100,000 and told me to go buy some new clothes, maybe because of what happened earlier. Zhuang Qingqing offered to take me. Zhuang Sunzi paused for a second. Qingqing? Weren't you supposed to come with me today to pick up the jewelry I ordered? Qingqing let out a small "oh," eyes bouncing between the two of us, before she stepped over to my side. Sorry, brother. Bifan just got here and doesn't know anyone. Ask one of your friends to go with you. Qingqing went to get the car from the garage, leaving just me and Zhuang Sunzi standing by the door. He had a watch on. The watch caught the light and glinted. Brother, maybe you should go buy one too. Some people were just never meant to live off a woman's money. Don't you agree, brother? I just stared at him without saying anything. The stare made him uneasy. He muttered bad vibes and walked off. Qingqing pulled the car around and saw me still standing there. Something must have crossed her mind, because she actually got out and opened the car door for me. I climbed in and raised my right hand. I've still got one good arm, nobody asked. I just don't want you scratching up my car. The mall was massive. I had never seen a place this big in all my years. I stood at the entrance taking it in. Qingqing shoved me impatiently. Stop gawking, let's go. She stepped away for a bit at some point, leaving me alone in the store. I picked out a few cheaper pieces and checked out, then went to the store next door and grabbed some men's and women's items in larger sizes to bring back for Aunt Wang and the others. I thought about it for a moment, and used the rest of the money to get one thing for each person in the Zhuang household. I waited outside the mall until 2. Qingqing still hadn't come back. I went to the convenience store next door and got a $3 bread roll, just to hold myself over. It is by 5 in the afternoon. A call finally came through. I didn't recognize the number, but I picked up anyway. It was the mother. Bifan. Sunzi hurt his leg. He's at the hospital, I just take a cab home. I said okay and hung up. There wasn't enough money on my phone to cover the full ride back to the Zhuang estate, so I had the driver drop me off part way, and walk the rest, hungry and thirsty. By the time I got home, everyone was there, even the father who was usually buried in work. Sunzi saw me come in, and gave me an awkward smile. Sorry, brother. It's my fault Qingqing couldn't come pick you up. I told mom and dad they didn't need to come to the hospital, but they showed up anyway. Good thing it was only a sprained ankle. Otherwise, mom and dad would have been a wreck. You must be exhausted from shopping all day. Come sit down and have some grapes, brother. The housekeeper took the bags from my hands and let out a surprised sound. Oh, these must be for the sir and ma'am. Oh my, and there's something for the young master and miss too. The whole room seemed caught off guard. The mother came over and took the shopping bag, pulling things out one by one. Sunzi kept his expression flat while forcing a smile. I'm guessing there's nothing for me. That's fine. It makes sense that you don't like me, brother. The mother finished pulling everything out. Exactly 5 items, like one for each person. The smile froze on Sunzi's face. The mother seemed to realize something and asked, Bifan, how did you get home? The housekeeper pointed at my foot. Young master, your foot is bleeding. I looked down. My shoe had soaked through dark red. Zhuang Qingqing jumped up to grab the first aid kit. Zhuang Qingya helped me sit down, and carefully tried to take off my shoe. But the sock had dried and fused to my skin. There was no gentle way to do it. I didn't look at any of them, and just peeled the sock off myself. Zhuang Qingya winced. The mother covered her mouth with a gasp. Blood dripped steadily to the floor, a small dark puddle forming underneath. I grabbed the iodine and poured it directly on the wound, then wrapped a bandage around it a few times. Because my left hand didn't work properly, the wrapping ended up a mess. The mother couldn't watch anymore. Someone get a doctor over here for Bifani. Stop wrapping it, wait for the doctor. I finished wrapping it on my own, didn't look at any of them, said no thanks. I'm tired, and went to my room. I was woken up by knocking at the door. A muffled voice drifted through. Do you think he passed out? Someone kicked the door open. I recognized the mother's voice. I limped over and opened the door. The mother was standing outside, with someone in a white coat right behind her. Ifan, come out and eat. And let the doctor take another look at your foot. The living room was tense when I got there. It seemed like an argument had only just died down. Sunzi's eyes were still red. The father had clearly given Sunzi a serious talking to, and Qingqing for once hadn't defended her brother. When she saw me come out, she stood up right away, but then didn't know what to say. You okay? I didn't answer. She had the doctor rewrap my foot. After dinner, Zhuang Qingqing stayed close beside me, kept pressing fruit into my hands. I finished my 4th banana, and another already peeled one appeared. I glanced at Zhuang Qingqing. You eat it.